Hello, 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 denizens of the grid, and welcome back to another exciting match of Android Netrunner. What I'm bringing you today is a game between Reconstra and Pac-Man, two runners and corpse and players, I guess. So players that I have never actually seen in action, but that's cool. I happen to know, because this is the third time this guy's attempted to get a game going, that Reconstra is running Laramie Fisk. Now, for those of you not familiar with Laramie Fisk, the savvy investor, is a criminal runner whose special ability is that when he runs on a central server, any one of these three servers, HQ, R&D, or Archives, he can force the corporation to draw an extra card. Now, this is one of those really weird abilities in my mind, because on the one hand, it's obviously good to pressure the corp. You know, hey, you need to draw more cards. Oh, but I can't deal with these cards. Then you suck a dick. But on the flip side, it's really, really concerning for the corp, for the runner, because you're giving the corp cards, and what if you just give him the cards he wants? After all, click for a card is a valid way to use up your clicks, and most people end up doing that for a little bit of the time. Blue Sun likes to bounce ice from the board back to their hand, so they're already looking to end a turn with 5 cards, bounce it up to 6, draw up to 7. With Laramie Fisk calling the shots, he might use Fisk Investment Seminar to add 3 more with a draw 3, and then go and run on you to make it go up to 11. Remember that in Netrunner, if the corp decks, they lose. So making the corp go through all their cards really fast is a way to accelerate the pace of the game and extend that early game window where the criminal runner tends to be the most powerful before the end game where they tend to peter off. So all of that being said, that's just theory. In practice, I have no idea what this deck's going to do. I'm really excited to see it. As far as Blue Sun is concerned, well, we all know how that one likes to play out. Big ice, lots of money, decent glaciers, decent kill threat, and really I'm just talking out my ass because Blue Sun has kind of become a standard shell for anything. Alright, let's see what's going on here. We've got Ice, Ice, and Baby. Ice, Ice, Baby, Ice, Ice, Baby. Nope, Ice Ice Credit. Oh, set days. Ice Ice Baby is my shorthand for using hedge fund or sure gamble in this situation. Okay, criminals going on. Armitage code busting, money, 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 draw a card and end the turn. Wow, that's a slow start, actually. Just took a whole bunch of money and ended his turn, but okay. Money is bad on no player, and he has an A credit Armitage for his troubles on the board. Let's see. In terms of tempo, that feels really slow to me. A single click playing Sure Gamble would have gotten him about as much money, and there's got to be more valuable things he could have done with that kind of time. But we don't know what this deck does yet. Maybe this is a Vamp-centric deck, and he needs to stay richer than his opponent to have a shot. Faust to break into stuff would be an option. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Let's see how it plays out. Siphon is definitely going to be in this game. You can quote me on that, people. If there is no Siphon in this game, I will well, to be fair, I'll probably just not post the video. But anyway, let's see what happens. Okay, so we got an Iceling on another remote server. Just taking some money, so, you know, nice and slow. This has been a bad start for our Blue Sun friend, actually. 3 ice, no money cards? He's had to click for a credit 3 times already, so really, tempo has been slow, but it's been both ways. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking he's floating 4 cards because he knows he's against Fisk, and he's hoping Fisk will give him a free card draw somehow. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. There's the central-only barrier breaker known as Breach, which requires a decent amount of money to pump. And there it is. There's the run on Archives to force a card draw, which is exactly what the corporation wanted, to go from 4 to 5 cards. This is the big trap with Fisk, and I'm going to say this for everyone at home to pay attention to. You don't want to just make the corp draw cards. You want to make the corp draw cards when they don't want to draw cards, because otherwise, I mean, they can always just pitch what they don't want and just utilize the high quality of their draws. It's more when you can exploit them having extra cards or legwork that's valuable. See, we don't know which card he just drew, but for all we know, he just drew this subliminal messaging for a free credit, or the agenda that he's desperate to try to slam out behind this ice nice and early. Now let's see if Laramie Fisk is up to the task of exploiting this. Probably with an inside job at this stage of the game, or with an AI breaker just hitting the field, or a fairy and run and pray. Because the only thing, well, actually, this breach only works on centrals. So yeah, it has to be an AI breaker or bust if you want to confidently get in here. So running HQ, okay, I like this play. You can always force a draw to increase the likelihood of seeing agendas there. Oh, and it's an enigma, and the run is thwarted, and not only thwarted, but a click is lost. And if that's a 5 advance 3-pointer, as it almost certainly is, I mean, who the hell installed double advances otherwise? We could be looking at a significant point swing here. 3 out of 7 points is a lot, and most of the 5 advancers are worth a lot in terms of the value of what they do. Okay, So the legwork just got discarded. Ooh, that's unfortunate. And Enigma gets bounced by Blue Sun. I'm not sure that makes sense unless this doesn't need 3 more advancements to score. Let's see. Advance, score. What? Okay, that's really strange. Why slow play this? If this is indeed a 5 advancer. Oh, Fisk Investment Seminar. So for those unfamiliar, click, you draw 3, and your opponent draws 3. Has to be your first click. And the idea is obviously to do exactly what this guy's doing here. We just took Blue Sun from having 5 cards in hand to having a whopping 9 cards in hand all at the same time. That's going to be a hard hand to play out. Imagine that he just wants to double advance and score this. That's great, but now he's going to be discarding 5 cards because of it. Nope, scratch that. 10 cards in hand. He's going to be discarding 5 cards. Yeah, if he doesn't, you know, do something. So let's see what happens. Also, I totally missed this getting installed. What is this? Data leak reversal. Ooh. So what we're looking at here is a combined milling strategy. Laramie Fisk is going to use data leak reversal, which reads, when you're tagged, well, basically, when you're tagged, you can trash the corpse R&D cards by clicking. The idea then would in my estimation, be mill. Once the tag situation is resolved, run trash, or this is blown up, run trash, drop another one, mill. You're using a combination of making him draw and discard to empty his deck, and giving up any advantages on the board in the meantime. Looking for the central only breakers, using Fisk Investment Seminar to force draws, etc., etc. I don't know. I think this is a powerful position. I think this probably was either a trap or some... I don't think it's a trap. It felt like an agenda. Install double advance really feels like an agenda. And there aren't a lot of 2 advanced traps I would be happy to have out that early in the game for most decks. Maybe it's a contract killer, but again, doesn't seem very likely, just like a possibility. If it's a contract killer, it can kill a connection or deal a couple meat damage. I want to say 3. I'm pretty sure it's 3. Might be just be 2, but I'm pretty sure it's 3. And Scorch killing Laramie Fisk is probably going to be a more tasty option, especially if he starts going Siphon hungry with a lot of tag me tactics, or if this to power the data leak reversal and such. And you're sitting on Wayland Blue Sun money where you can always go to 0, bounce an ice to your hand, and then shoot him in the face. I don't know. It's very early to make a call as to what exactly we're going to see here. All right, so another piece of ice dropping on the board. Looks like it looks like the corporation thinks the same thing I do, that this whole board stinks of Siphon, and that Siphon, when it comes in, is going to have to go through HQ. Either that, or he's very cognizant of the flooding happening in his hand right now with all these cards, and so he's thinking, you know what? Let me ditch some cards from my hand and protect the 1 or 2 agendas that I don't want gone. I don't know what this is. Probably a Chrysium agreed to deny a Siphon, but it could always be a CVS, haha, a Cyberdex Virus Suite. Since that's a popular card, it should go on just about any server. I'm not really sure. Oh, but wait a minute. Doesn't it have to be an unadvanced card? Expose 1 installed card. Nope. Okay, so the drive-by. Drive-by will expose this card, trash it if it's not an agenda, and if it, basically, if it's an advanceable asset, it gets trashed. If it's not, and if it is an agenda, it's going to get exposed, at which point we have to believe that the criminal has a way in there in 1 click, presumably inside job. No, but it's a trap and it dies. It is a brain damage trap. You know, I said there aren't many traps I would be happy for the opponent to run into on turn 1. A Cerebral Overlighter is exactly the type of trap that I would want my opponent to run into on turn 1, because having a hand size of 2 is fucking crippling. So that was a really, really good drive-by for the criminal there, and a real coup de main, playing it when he did. I was going to say that it was a bad move if it turned out that Laramie Fisk had no way in. Why bother drive-buying if you can't follow it up? But damn, sir. And now we have to wonder what this Wayland strategy is, because most Waylands that I'm familiar with don't import traps or don't use a ton of them. And here we have one who we know played at least 1 trap and now is installed. Is this just another trap? Anyway, run an R&D. Run an R&D with a Caduceus res. Caduceus often reses for free because trace of 3 to get back 3 credits, most runners will not contest. Let's see what happens. No boost. And it's contested by 3, and Reconstra loses 3 credits to that. Trace of 2 to beat end the run. It still is going to result in a 5 credit swing, which is really what you're hoping for. Yep, evades both traces non-boosted and loses 5 credits in the process, but he does get in, which means Fisk will fire and he'll see a card. Yep, he does indeed fire Fisk, and he's going to check the card, and it is not known to us. God damn it, why don't we get to see this? Spectators need to see the access cards! Anyway, whatever. Obviously not something he wanted to trash, if indeed it was anything. So we got a fairy, and we got a breach on the board, which means he can blow through this with a fairy if he wants to, though frankly, I don't think he's going to be blowing any fairies on a Caduceus anytime soon. Blowing fairies on a Caduceus. Okay, that was not the agenda. It was a Grindle refinery. Okay, so our Wayland man is definitely playing a little bit of trappiness. Excuse me. Unfortunately, one of the best ways to beat trap play, in my experience, which is not that massive, is to go for R&D lock. Because traps have low trash costs as a rule of thumb, and therefore you're likely to hit them and destroy them. Traps have to be placed on a remote server and then run on, which means R&D lock allows you to ignore them entirely. Traps have to be triggered for money, which means the corporation has to get money. And finally, if they're spending time and energy on traps and you're digging, they're running out of time to score agendas. Traps don't win just by being hit usually. We've got an architect fire. That's probably enough to blow a fairy on. You don't want to let an architect fire for free. 5 free cards to look at and install 1 or 2. But then again, if your plan is to mill the deck, then maybe you don't care enough. And you're like, yeah, go ahead. Nope. It's a blown fairy. It is down. And now we're going to see another card. Enigma. Enough to end the run. Which he should have remembered, because that's the card that we saw rezzed and then bounced before. So, law of averages, not that is in fact the law, that's exactly what it is. Oh, he doesn't care. He wants the corp pour. He's making the corp res every piece of ice, and he's going to break this with the breach. I'm sure of it. He's going to break it with the breach, go in, see the 4 cards in the trash, and also use the Fisk Force a draw. Fisk Force is happening. We look at 4 cards in archives, and yes, there's a government contract in the trash, and we finally have some points on the board. 3-0 in favor of Laramie Fisk. And you can bet your bottom dollar what's happened is the corp was being forced to overdraw that many cards. I mean, let's just look at this deck size for Christ's sake. 30 cards left in the deck out of a 49 card deck. That's a full 3/5 of the deck, and he hasn't scored a single goddamn agenda. With no agendas showing up, no installed cards down here, they're either in his hand or in his deck. Who could possibly be so unlucky as to not have drawn any? So it's obviously in his deck. Ooh, Amazon Industrial Grid. Nice! So he's going to get the free install on the architect here. He doesn't think his opponent can get in, and this is going to be like clicking to get 3 credits, 2 credits, because it's going to cost him 1 to res, 1 to install, and yeah, this plan sounds worse now that I say it out loud. It's not free money like I would have hoped it would be, but it's technically a click for more credits than he would have gotten with none. Double installs. I am confident one of those is an agenda. I don't know which, but that would... Like I said, we did the math. If he's 3/5 of the way through his deck, and we've only seen 1 agenda, he's probably so flooded that he needs to find some way to play them. Draw, money, and... If it's not a run, we're probably going to see a corpse score this turn. Come on, fingers crossed, man, fingers crossed. Keep the faith, Pac-Man, keep the faith. If I were Pac-Man, I would probably... Cards in hand is what, 4, 5? I don't know his hand. But assuming he has something he'd rather throw away, I would bounce the industrial zone to my hand, gain 4 credits, score whichever agenda is an agenda, and then worry about reinstalling this later. That would be my play. But again, don't know his hand, don't know his plan, don't even know his deck, so we'll see what Pac-Man does. Mandatory draw and sub-messaging gets him a credit. I forgot the sub. I'm glad that the game reminded him. Let's see what goes on here. Oh, and he does it! He is bouncing the zone. Excellent. He might even just throw it away. He doesn't need it. Oh my God. Okay, so not scoring an agenda? Question mark? Protecting something that was already installed, or installing an agenda over an upgrade, maybe? I'm sorry, I'm fairly confident that that must be an agenda that was pushed down at some point. But no, apparently he's not going for the juggler here. Maybe, oh! Okay, so point of order. We are watching a Wayland play. Waylands do have access to a lot of 3-pointers, and he could very well be going for a deck that runs a bunch of 3-pointers and not much else to specifically stall out the game. Builder is interesting. Place 1 advancement token on a piece of ice protecting the server that can be advanced. So presumably this can be advanced, otherwise the builder literally just says do nothing. He can click and bounce it around to like other servers eventually. Maybe this is a piece of space ice, which reduces res cost for advancement, so he plans to get a free res from a run on the server. Or maybe all of that is bullshit. Personally, the more I'm looking at this corp deck, the less confident I'm feeling in its plan. I mean, nothing here seems to synergize really, really well, so we'll have to see what actually the plan is. That's a trap until proven otherwise. Uh, he's playing it slow enough that I don't think it's going to be an agenda. If it is an agenda, wow! This guy's head game is good. That trap that he laid down on turn 1, which was a trap, but then it was like, what if it's not a trap? I would probably have fallen for it on the first click and taken 2 brain damage. This was so obviously an agenda when he put 2 down, and yet, by just letting it sit there and fester, I was able to talk myself not only out of thinking it was an agenda, but out of thinking that he was even running a standard agenda suite. So, huzzah for him. Well played. So we just see a piece of cybernetics dropped, hand size increased by 3, but brain cage, so 1 brain damage, which is a reasonable trade-off. He's running on the archives again because it's the only server he has the breaker for, so forcing a corp draw along with a Fisk draw. This is the way to Fisk, by the way. Don't worry about firing the ability every turn, but fire it like this so the corp gets like 9, 10 cards in hand at once. That's the way that the corp was like, crap, I can't afford to do anything this turn because I just want to play all my events and install all my cards. You force them to play faster than they're able to. Glacier's Cry. And right now, the point lead is definitely with our runner. In fact, thanks to the scored government contract, it's going to be very difficult to. Oh my God, did he? Oh no, okay, that was just a bounce ability. I thought he drew a card on 10 cards. You know he has an agenda in that hand. He just has to. I mean, 27 cards out of the deck and only 5 points gone. So, yeah, that's like more than like a quarter of the points. Sorry, 3/4 of the points remain to be seen in just half the deck. Let's see if it's possible to switch the board side around. I don't know if it will be, but if it will, that will be useful. No, it is not. I'd like to periodically change my perspective so I'm seeing the other side, instead of commentating like I am the corp. I think the right play here is to keep just scoring them out. Drop the advanceable agendas and score them. He would have been much happier if he had 2 advanced to 5 advanced 3-pointer behind a single piece of ice in the beginning of the game and scored it than he was by baiting the trap. He had to be cognizant of the fact that he was against a criminal, and criminals have all kinds of shenanigans to get him in when they really want to. But, yeah, anyway. So 2 cards in a remote server. My instinct says Amazon Industrial Complex and an agenda, because he's been bouncing and replaying the Amazon complex. Personally, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that he's found a new upgrade that's more synergistic and useful, because Amazon is not going to help him in this turn. He's not installing anything up here, and if he is, a discount of 2 isn't really going to help compared to the increased cost of 3, compared to the increased cost of 2. Frankly, he'd be better off putting Amazon here, click to install a 3-credit ice, bounce it for 3 credits. Click to install a 3-credit ice, bounce for 3 credits. Until eventually his opponent wises up and goes and trashes the complex. Draw. Gang side. That's the plan. Okay. So now, every time a score happens, a random access on HQ happens. And of course, diligently checking the archives, unless one of these is a Jackson, which I don't think it is, then it's going to be another 3 access. Probably no agendas. I don't think he would have thrown away agendas. Yeah, he didn't throw away agendas. He knows what's up. And thanks to that extra card, the gang sign becomes a little less accurate, presumably, assuming that there's a 3 advanced 2-pointer in here, which I will assume. And yeah, why keep the ice ball there? It's barely even a tax at this point. Actually, no, it's a fantastic. It's 2 credits to break. Oh, he wants to put something else there? I guess, to be fair, there is no other breaker on the board, so maybe this keeps him out. But it just tells me that I'm wrong about him again. He didn't put down the agenda I was hoping he would here. And he really needs to understand that he is running out of time. 20 cards in the deck. And yeah, you have 2 points, but you got 5 to go, sir. That's a long hike. And the board position is only going to improve for the criminal as time goes on. So, yeah, I don't know. We got to see how this plays out. There's the install in the second tier. It was not the Amazon zone. If it was, that would have been an easy moment to res it. So good. He found something else. Let's just keep watching. There's the second breaker, this time code gates. So now he can get in here if he lets the architect fire. Can get in here if he beats the traces, and he may or may not be able to get in here at all. We don't know yet. We have to find out. But my guess is that he won't run without a ferry. Well, he might. So far, all he's seen is architect, and well, that's bad and all. Nope, he's gonna just let the architect he knows about fire. That's ballsy. I guess to be fair, looking at the agendas spread and all, there's probably 3 or 4 agendas in HQ. It's a shame he had to throw away that legwork so long ago, because this would be the time to legwork. Also, this is, architect retrieval on what, the last click? Second to last click? Second to last click. So he could very easily throw an agenda on a new remote and then install a piece of ice out of hand, or vice versa, and just work off that and have a brand new unknown remote and 7 credits worth of ice over it. And then when the runner runs on that, bounce the ice and advances the agenda out. Problem is, with all the cards in his hand, you just know that he has an agenda in there. And it'll be interesting to see if Pac-Man can catch it or not. Sorry, not Pac-Man. Our runner friend, Reconstra. One of the biggest problems I have with this game on Octagon as opposed to playing this game in real life is this: how much less interactive it is to watch people play, compared to how much fun it is to, like, ooh, what? So he did not install anything from the top 5, and he did install Grindle Refinery from the trash, which I guess makes sense. His opponent might not bother to run it, and then he can always go advance, sack, and gain like 6 credits, so that's a possibility. There was an industrial zone put down as a bait, as predicted. Worthwhile to trash. I would trash the Grindle Refinery too. Yeah, just leave no hope. It's not that that losing this money cost the corporation very much, but oh wow, Reconstruct down to 1 credit. All that trashing might have been a little bit much. There's no way into that scoring remote on 1 credit. I'd gamble. And could this be a... No, not... It was an agenda? It was an agenda the whole freaking time? Oh, this guy's patience is just something else. I mean, I still think it's the wrong approach. I still think the correct way to play this out for this corp would have been, hey, I have to hurry before I run out of time this game. But this guy's patience, it makes me think everything is what it is. And that's fantastically good play. Our runner has to take a turn just making money, and that should leave the corp enough time to triple advance score a 5 advance 3-pointer if he's lucky enough for a government contract or and it's a restructure. Okay. Score it. It's not scored at 4 advancements. There aren't a lot... Oh, it could be Vanity Project, which is a 6 advance 4-pointer. That would make sense that he wouldn't score it yet, because he couldn't. And it would also make sense that he won't trust HQ. HQ interface is a really good install here. You know that agenda is getting scored next turn, and HQ interface allows you to go, okay, well, give me a reasonable shot at catching the agenda. And unfortunately, due to the order of things, he can't install the agenda and score the previous one simultaneously. So the HQ interface plus gang sign are both going to fire, and he's going to see 2 cards when this thing gets scored. I'm really hoping it's a vanity project for this guy's sake, because if it's a 5 advance 3-pointer, I mean, I love you, I love the tactics, I love the fact that you've been able to con me into thinking it wasn't what it was, but come on, man, you need to pick up your speed here. Okay, it was a Hades fragment. Of all of the not Vanity Fair cards, this is the one you would pray for. The one that lets you put a card back in your deck each turn so that you don't get milled. The problem is with Fisk Investment Seminar, he can still get you down low and then pop it. But even then, a new card every turn is going to thicken this deck tremendously. And he's on 5 points. That's game point. If that's the last Atlas, or 4 advance 2-pointer, this is the gauntlet turn. Win now or lose. Personally, I would have put a trap down there right now and 1 advanced it, or I would have put an agenda down and not advanced it. either way, you know it's probably getting run. So this is not a bad time to put a trap in and let the runner go broke running it. I'm still not convinced this server can't be penetrated. But then these are central-only breakers, and an inside job doesn't get you that far. So yeah, no, if the first 3 clicks were that, then he's clearly letting it go. So yeah, if this is the agenda of 4 Advanced 2-pointer, it's game. I can't see any way around it. And the fact that he's thinking tells me that it's most likely not just game over. He has to think. Just making money. Alright, alright. So this is probably a Grindle refinery. I say that because there wouldn't be a lot of other... Nope, there it is. That's a... Oh, shit! Oh, shit! It's a Cronus protocol! The worst agenda for you to score here. Because it's a 3 advanced 1-pointer, it puts you short of winning. And yes, it does lock out the opponent's entire archives from the game now. But who cares? This guy wasn't looking like he was going to levy or recur anything. He mostly just lost legworks and shutdowns and shit. I guess same old thing, legwork is gone, which is good. And deja vu, draw 3, oh hey you die. But the moment you scored the Hades fragment, those were kind of dead in the water anyway. How much happier would you have been with the 2-pointer? But to be fair, maybe he just didn't draw them, and now hostile takeover for the game is live, right? Because 6 points to 5. So the criminal needs to amp up his game. If I were the criminal this turn, I would run HQ once or twice even. That's the plan, it looks like. Pheromones to decrease the cost of running on HQ, and then just mass run the fuck out of HQ. You can let the architect fire in this situation. You kind of have to. And if the corporation was smart, which he is, he's going to put an agenda right here off of this fire and leave the criminal only 2 clicks to figure that out. But I'm gambling there goes the agenda, and then who cares from the R&D point of view? Wait, that came out of R&D. If that came out of R&D... Huh. If that came out of R&D, then what would you do from archives or hand? See, I would have used this as an opportunity to get something out of my hand and safely onto the board. Chrysium Grid. Chrysium Grid on HQ is interesting. It denies the pheromones play, which is actually very useful for you in this situation. It also will potentially deny the HQ interface. Whenever you access cards from HQ, access one additional card. Nope, this will still work. So it's still going to be a double access. And no benefit. Okay. Oh, he never rezzed it. He never rezzed the Chrysium Grid. Huh! I guess he doesn't care about the recurring credit. He's willing to accept that with a multi-threader and 1 recurring credit, this server is already free, except for the architect. And so, you know, if our runner Reconstruct figures that out, he's not going to trash this either, because Laramie Fisk is strong enough at this point without it. Though I wonder, did he trigger Fisk's ability? He did. The corporation is actually remarkably close to being decked, so I really hope for the corp's sake that is an agenda, and the corp gets the point, because otherwise he may have waited a little too long for nothing. So let's see what happens. Start of turn, 3 credit, triple advance and score, game, no, come on, maybe. God, this attention is killing me. I feel like the peril music from Sonic. And then the drowning sound effect, because he totally didn't just double advance or triple advance it. Oh, so it's not a 3 advancer then. He needed to pre-advance it a little bit. And he moved the builder to the outside so that all his ice is now potentially live when this gets hit. Which makes sense. There's probably not going to be any runs on the remote. At this stage out of the game, I'm pretty confident of that. This criminal is not that eager. Let's think. There's no way you get milled to death here. And there's no cards in archives. There's like 2 cards in archives. It's actually almost worth popping your fairy on this. I'd rather... Because if you're sure that's an agenda, and I know I am, then what does it matter if he installs more stuff with Architect? Like, you don't want him ending your run. You want to take every chance you can at winning. So there goes the housekeeping, and presumably one other unimportant card for this matchup. Central only breakers. So, word to the wise, when building a criminal deck with central only breakers, plan for it. Have an inside job or two to get you into that remote early. You need to be able to threaten or contest it. Consider using quest completed so that you can run centrals and still access remotes. Also consider running Faust or Eater, which are just really good, easy to import general purpose AI breakers for I need in right now. Hard running on R&D. He's probably going to try to beat both traces. Because, again, to be fair, the runner just needs one agenda, and he's pretty damn close. If he gets it out of R&D right now, he has this. Any two-pointer will do. And it's just, what, a couple traces? How much is the corp going to spend? Like, yeah, a little bit to boost it. That's fine, that's fine. No boost? No, reinforced by 6. Boost of 6 is a lot. And it looks like that was enough to scare away the Fisk man. Oh no, it was more than the Fisk could afford. That's the game. I'm sure of it. Nobody spends 8 monies bumping a single orange retrace without a game plan to finish it off. Yep, he's saying GG in channel, so unless he's a cocky asshole, this is definitely it. GG! What a game, what a game. Alright, hang on while I congratulate our players. Thank you both. GG, well played. That was my first time watching a Fisk in action, and apart from some differences in playstyle corp-wise, I think it was a thoroughly entertaining matchup. Glad to commentate, and please feel free to check it out on my channel later when uploaded. www.youtube.com/bountyhuntersax. Okay, they're talking about the decks now and how Inside Job is missing, and I'm going to do a bit of a post-mortem on this match. Hype aside, this was a bad runner deck against an okay corp deck, or an okay corp deck against a bad runner deck. It's hard to tell. I do not have any discernible sense of what this Wayland is trying to do with this deck, judging from the cards we saw and the cards we didn't see. Amazon Industrial Grid, Chrysium Grid, and that one card, but advances otherwise, Builder. Builder is a weird inclusion. So, looking at this remote server, what is he trying to say? That you can get through? Not without a barrier breaker. Oh, I see. Could have been inside job to then bypass and then run to the end. Anyway, looking at it and judging from all the money cards he played, hedge fund, restructure, beanstalk royalties, etc., this guy was clearly trying to build an income lead and use that to do something. His agenda's makeup also seems a little strange. Hades Fragment is an awesome 5 advanced 3-pointer, but then we see a Cronus Project for 3 advanced 1, which isn't bad. A government contract for 5 advanced 3. I mean, is he just trying to make money off of it, maybe? I'm not sure. It's kind of strange. But to be entirely fair to him, he didn't really get the chance to show us how his deck operates either, because he was up against a strange runner. This runner was playing a strategy that I definitely envisioned as a possibility. Run centrals, pressure a lot, keep the corp poor by making them res ice and eventually siphoning or vamping money. We saw him throw away a vamp. I can be fairly confident he probably has a siphon. Once they're so poor, flood them with Fisk Investment Seminar cards and with your own Fisk Run cards, and then Data Leak reversal them, and then Gang Sign to score stuff when they decide that they have to actually try to score under all that pressure. Fisk seems like he'd be fun and flexible. HQ interface plus Gang Sign seems like a hell of a combo. But ultimately, I just don't feel this all pulled together well for our criminal. He mentioned that he didn't get his rig together and he was missing some breakers, despite being 20, 30 cards deep. Sometimes bad luck happens. And despite having 3 special orders, I don't know that I disagree with that sentiment. It definitely feels like he's missing a piece here. And maybe that piece that he's missing is exactly what he just couldn't find. But then, if you can't find the pieces you need, it's your job to add more tutors and more draw. Your deck needs to be as consistent as you can make it. And apart from Fisk Investment Seminar, we saw 0 card draw from his deck. So, that goes both ways. Anyway, I'm done yammering. I hope you all enjoyed watching this shoutcast. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.